Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation on the Forge. Before we begin, I'd like to start off on why I made this presentation focused on the Forge. After careful thinking, it is a safe assumption that without the Forge we wouldn't have had the amount of disruptive innovations as we are seeing today. It changed the way our ancestors gathered and hunted for food. Instead of finding tools from rocks, it enabled us to form our own tools to our own liking. This disruptive innovation dates back 9,000 years ago. Around the Middle East were found making copper tools and weapons according to the History Channel. Flat rocks were used as hammers and anvils. Later, charcoal forges were creating bronze tools. This process allowed for stronger tools and weapons. Soon charcoal fire pits were using bellows to increase the temperature of the forge. Bronze smelting would eventually lead to the method of making iron. The bloomery was the earliest form of smelter capable of smelting iron, which has a melting point of 1,539 Celsius degrees. Earlier, forges were lacking the heat necessary to melt iron. The Hittite Greeks used black sand nearby from the ocean shores. Eventually, iron smelting made its way to China and Japan. These forges had chimney-like tops, heat-resistant walls made of dirt or clay, and had a hole at the base. During the 13th century, water power technology had replaced bellows as a means of increasing the heat of forges. In the 18th century, a new technique called puddling was now available to forgeries. Higher temperatures were achieved, which allowed for stronger metal. This would eventually lead to the Industrial Revolution, which we all know changed the world as we know it. Here are some photos of pit kilns and bloomeries. The average size of the bloomery was 45 centimeters in diameter, about the size of my arm, and 56 centimeters in height. One could produce 30 kilograms of bloom iron. In pounds, that's 66. This required 200 kilograms or 440 pounds of iron ore. Are you still wondering why the forge is important? Without the forge, we would not be where we are right now. Agriculture would be different without tractors since we didn't learn how to mold metal effectively. Our ability to defend against predators and protecting our lands would be different. I know guns are a controversial subject, but without them, the forefathers of the United States would not have been able to fight against the Brits if they couldn't smelt metal to create firearms. Syringes contain metal too. If the forge never came about, advanced forges wouldn't have been able to craft complex needles made of metal. You can't have an industrial revolution if the forge wasn't invented. Our beloved cars are another item on the list that would disappear if we didn't master forging. The list goes on for the advances we made with the forge. There's no question the comforts we experience in life would drastically change if we were still figuring out how to mold metal. In conclusion, the forge is, in my opinion, one of the greatest disruptive innovations of our time. It changed the way our ancestors gathered and defended themselves. It created new markets where none existed before. Many of the disruptive technologies that we are researching as part of this mini presentation wouldn't exist without the forge. For this reason, I think the forge is the most disruptive technology we have created. My sources include a scholarly source and the History Channel. The majority of the photos were provided through Microsoft PowerPoint's online picture insert option. Adobe Premiere Pro and Audacity were used to put this together. I hope you all enjoy researching, as I did, the disruptive technologies that we are currently studying.